Good morning from the Lantern Room. I am presently on a walk with Buddy in the woods. There are 15 kilometers of trails underneath in Quebec City. I'm in Quebec City, and the Plains of Abraham have trails below in the woods where we're sheltering from the heat. We're taking an early morning walk. I have my Auntie Rita with me this weekend. So we're just doing that before we set out and start our day. So today's topic is what makes a good conversation. It's kind of like I'm really enjoying asking ChatGPT, hey, what can we talk about today? And then just kind of letting the randomness of things happen. So what makes a good conversation? Some conversations leave us feeling understood, others leave us feeling unheard, exhausted, or unchanged. So today I want to explore what makes a conversation worth having and why some conversations stay with us for years, and sometimes those conversations change us, like on a deep level, right? So the first question I'm going to think about and just talk about is, who is someone you've talked with that always brought out your best thinking? Who is someone that I've talked with that always brought out my best thinking? Oh, that's a good question. Well, I mean, while we're on the topic of Rita, Rita is my father's sister. Now, my father passed away years ago, and Rita came into my life right after he died in a more significant way, and has remained with me throughout many changes over the last years. And I've had very deep and significant conversations with Rita over that time span, and I think I have influenced her in her way of thinking, and so it's a back and forth, beautiful reciprocity. She has a very sharp mind. She reads a lot. She is always open to learning. She's had quite a life, so a lot of life experience, and because I'm curious, I'm always wanting to know more. She has stories, right? I like people who are willing to share stories and who are open. Yeah, she's a character. She's a bit eccentric, and it's funny because yesterday I invited her to be my first Land and Lives conversations, right? So it's a beautiful parallel, I think, the Lantern Room, where I have conversations and leave them there for you to find. And then Land and Lives, the project I'm working on, is having conversations with ordinary people and learning from them and sharing those via my website, my new website. So Rita, I asked her if she would be one of my first conversations, and I would record her voice, take a picture or two, tell a bit of her story, what she's willing to share, and that would be something I would do. So I think what's beautiful is that there's no judgment, and that's a good beginning, right? So she shares her life experience, and that's from her perspective and her wisdom, and I share mine, and it's a back and forth kind of reciprocity. I've had beautiful conversations over the years with many people. Some have been really life-changing. I've written with a few significant people back and forth, and that has also been very rich, at times more than others, but also very, very rich. And those best conversations are exactly that, when they're reciprocal, when they're about ideas, when they're about perspectives, and they're about sharing. And I think when that happens, there's a beautiful movement. It's like those helix, I guess they're called helix symbols, that kind of twist and turn, and they've got a ladder between, like, I think it's a scientific thing, right? The helix symbols that keep turning and twisting and growing and growing and growing. And so when you have a beautiful conversation with someone, you come together, share something, and you go back uplifted, hopefully, or changed. And then you live your life, and then you come back and you share something else, and whoop, you go back, and that's back and forth, beautiful, kind of like a wave that goes back and forth. I love that. But it does entail, conversation is about reciprocity. It's not about being selfish and wanting to hog the conversation all for you. It's about here's what is happening with me. And I like deep conversation. And I'm very curious. So like if someone wants to talk about they're a geologist and they're fascinated by rocks. Well, I find that very cool, and I'll want to know more about it, right? And maybe they'll ask questions back. I guess not everyone is open to going as deep as I go sometimes, and it can feel a little confronting, I think, at times, because I'll ask questions that are deeper than someone is maybe willing to go, and it's not ever badly meaning. It's just, I'm curious. I want to know more about the person. So if someone is kind of like they don't trust or they're a little hesitant, well, I've gotten better, I think, at gauging, right? Gauging where people want to go or don't. And I respect that people have needs to protect themselves sometimes too and not reveal, be private. So the next question is, what is the difference between a conversation and a debate? Also a good conversation, like a good question for nowadays. It used to be that what was interesting about Facebook, and I come from a very remote area, so when Facebook showed up, I was like, oh wow, I could be connected to people all over the world and have wonderful, engaging conversations. Conversations that happen online are no less interesting to me, right? So it used to be that I could put a topic of conversation because I have a wide net of interesting people around the world who are connected. They would bring in their perspectives, and we would all have a conversation on my wall. And I would kind of moderate it, but not too strictly. And then there would be people who were Republicans or conservatives, and then others were liberals, and others who had different values or different cultures or different races or whatever. And what I liked about that is that we could all kind of, see other perspectives, and that helps us to grow. But over the years, we've become much, much more divisive, and that's due to all kinds of things, which I won't talk about now. But like, it's much more difficult now to do that on Facebook. So I guess that's why I wanted to show what we have in common as human beings. I think there's a lot of things that we have in common. So if we come back to what's important to us, right? What's important to people? I'm in nature right now. We need fresh air. We need a clean environment. We need water. We need shelter. We all have some things in common. We need safety. We need to feel like we have a job that is stable enough to help our families. We need a community, especially. So to me, I would rather find a way to have a communal conversation than a debate with someone where they're anchored in their beliefs, you're anchored in your beliefs, and there's no way of finding, and each one is arguing over the other. And I've been in both modes. It's not productive to me. Debates aren't really very productive to me, because usually the person, when they're in a debate mode, they're just thinking of what are they going to answer? What are they going to answer to counter the argument that the other one is bringing, right? What are they going to... They're not thinking about receiving what the person is saying. They're thinking, oh, that's a defensive mode. And I've been in defensive mode before. I have. And sometimes it's because we feel like we're being attacked, or we feel like we're being judged, or we feel like we're being misunderstood. So that's not the kind of conversation I want to have anymore in my life. I've put kind of boundaries around people who want to just debate. No, because I don't feel like it's productive. I don't feel like I leave that person feeling good. I feel slightly on edge when that happens. I feel kind of like it comes and gets my shadow side, where I feel like I have to go back and say, no, I don't want that. So yeah. What kind of listener are you becoming? And then conversely, when do you feel most deeply heard? Well, I think my brain is always very fast. very, very fast. So I usually, when I'm listening, I've always kind of been like this, but I'm also I'm always aware of not just what the person is saying, but how their mannerisms. I'm very intuitive. So when the person is speaking, I'm like aware of the whole person, and sometimes the undertones and what the person's not saying. So there's a lot going on in my mind when this person is speaking to me, and I've had to kind of slow my mind down and really focus. I'm ADHD too. You can call it what you want. Like whether I'm not a big fan of labels, right? But it just means that my mind is very active and very aware. So I usually try to feel people out before and while they're speaking. So then I have to focus on what it is that they actually said. So funny. So I'm making it a practice more to focus on what it is they're actually saying, right? And I'm also very much aware of mood, right? What is the mood of that person? So sometimes it kind of messes me up a little bit because the two are contradictory. The person can be saying one thing and blah, 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 and going off. And then underneath that, I sense something else is happening. So that's the kind of listening I do. It can be a little disgruntling for people when I'm like, are you okay? Like, is something else happening right now? Because I'm not a fan of surface conversations. I know we have to do them. It's a social norm, so, right? That's how we connect with people, is through the surface first. And then slowly, as you gain trust, then right? It's just that sometimes I go directly to the point. I'm like, it's like I'm used to it too because I'm a teacher. So in my classroom, you have 30 kids. They got their little moods. If you're good at it, you're going to start. You have a lot of people to listen to, right? A lot of things to notice. And so the vibe of the room, the atmosphere of, two people are in conflict. You can feel the energies of all these different people. And so when you're doing it with a bunch of people all the time, when you finally sit down with one person, then you have to kind of slow down your mind and give them a chance to kind of just do the surface thing first and feel you out, right? They have to feel you out. Are you a safe person to talk to? I often have random people telling me their life stories, and they're surprised by that right away. Like, that's why I started Land and Lives, because there's so many people who have given me their stories. It's a blessing, a gift, And so they open up. They just do. They just, I guess they feel safe enough. And that afterwards, like, what did I just say? and I honor that. And I'm very grateful for the trust that people have had in me over the years. I've had some very, very good friends where everything is it's like a symbiosis. We finish each other's sentences. Like, I do that with Rita. The conversation flows, goes all over the place, goes to politics, comes back. We talk about relationships, we talk about love, we talk about ideas, we talk about my career. I can go deep and not worry. And there's a trust too that the person will hold your life stories with respect and be supportive. And over the years, I've been like, no, that doesn't seem to vibe with me. I'm not aligned with that person because something else is happening there that I don't understand and don't trust. So I don't align myself with energies that are like kind of hypocritical or something else is happening. And when I sense that, I trust my intuition now. So yes, gosh. What kinds of conversations do you hope to have more of in the years ahead? Well, now I only surround myself with people who are generous and giving and open and receptive to that kind of exchange. And if they're not, it's okay. They're not my people. That's how I see it. I used to overextend myself and try to convince people that that I was a safe person. No. Not doing that anymore. Just kind of going with the flow. And it makes life a lot easier. Because not everybody has to be my friend, I have a rich, joyful life, and there are people who are just unaware. They're self-unaware, and they have a whole bunch of things that they need to heal, and that's all good. It's all good, everybody's on their own path. So the kinds of conversations will be about life, about family, about community, about what's important to them, about where they come from and where they're going, and rich, beautiful, ordinary conversations with all kinds of people all over Canada. That's the best. And slowly I've been building a new community here in Quebec City, but I'm grateful for my wonderful friends that I already have. And yeah. So as a closing reflection, perhaps the best conversations aren't the ones where we convince someone, but the ones where everyone leaves seeing a little more clearly. Yeah. I think it's a sharing of love and attention. That's what a conversation is, a little moment of kindness and partage, as they say. So until next time, keep the lantern lit. Have a great day.